Hello, everybody. My name is Alvin Lee II, and I will be doing my lifespan interview on Robin Vernette Lee. Now, the reason why I chose her is because she's actually my auntie on my dad's side of the family, and she's actually a very loving, caring person. She brings so much wisdom to everybody and always cared about them no matter what. She's always put herself before she puts herself. And I want to really thank her for doing this with me and taking the time. And I did ask for her consent so she can do this interview, and she said yes. So I have my notes right here, and we'll be going through every single question and every single thing of her life, her childhood, her adolescence, young adulthood, middle, and late adulthood. And this is basically the history of her. And let's get into it. Like I said, her name is Robin Vernette Lee. She is 65 years old, and she was born October 28th, 1957. Her gender is a female, and her religious background is Pentecostal slash Christian. Now, that is, again, they're both the same thing, just back in the days of the late 50s, early 60s. They would use Pentecostal for as another word for Christian. They both mean the same thing in the same context. So, her heritage is African American, so she's full on black. She was married actually three times. She was married to Kenneth Earl Walker, Jeffrey Richardson, and Bertrand Doe. And I actually was, I didn't really know about this, so good information to learn. Now, she was born in Miami, Florida, and her parents' names are Robert E. Lee Sr., and he was from Pompano, Florida. And her mother name is Vieira Belinda Lee, and she's from Miami, Florida as well. Now, what were her parents like? Her parents were very loving, caring, always willing to help others no matter what. They always gave back to the community. And she will always tell me that they would sell oranges on their street because that's where she lived. They would grow the trees, and her dad would go out and sell the oranges and give back to the community, which was amazing. Now, the only thing that was very strict about them, because they were strict and disciplined parents, that they had to go to church every single time, no matter what the cost was. Like I said, she is very religious. Her family is very religious, and her parents was very keen on going to church. And her dad was actually a minister, so he would always make sure that everybody go to church no matter what. They would go every Wednesday, every Saturday, every Sunday, Saturday rehearsal, Bible school. They would go every single time. And that's why they learn about God so much in the Bible and actually adapt to what the Bible is now in this age. And that's what her religious background were, and that's how her parents were very caring about everybody. What her family was like, she had five brothers and two sisters. She was the oldest out of her sister, out of the sisters. And now, where did she grow up from? She had grew up in Miami, Florida, mostly in Richmond Heights, which is the suburban area. And like I said, they would be down there for a very long time. And that's where they would sell the oranges and always give back to the community. Now, where did she go to school at? She went to school in her college. Her college, she actually started out in Miami-Dade, but got married and went to Atlanta. But she didn't graduate from Miami-Dade. She did get her 33 credits from that school, but then she went to online school, and the university was called University of Phoenix, and she graduated in 2005 with her bachelor's degrees in science and business management. But that's not the only thing. She went back to school in 2012 and got her master's in education teacher leadership. And it's actually amazing what she has did through her entire life, that she went back to school. And now, where did she get married? And when did she get married? So she got married, again, she got married in Miami and moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and the first time she got married was December 2nd, 1978. But 7 years later, she got a divorce and was willing just to figure out what she was going to do next in her life. And then met another guy named Jeffrey Richardson, and in 1944, but divorced quickly afterwards. She was not ready. She didn't like what the intentions were, and she left. And then her final marriage was Bernard Doe, and that was in 1998. So only about 4 years later. But then afterwards, she divorced because the guy did not want to. He was only using her for only another reason for a green card, and which was not very well at all. So let's actually talk about her childhood. So her childhood, she grew up again in Miami, Florida, Richmond Heights. She went to school, and she was a very shy girl. So she was to herself. She was raised by her brothers and sisters, and actually, her sisters, they would do hair on her, and her brothers, and actually they would help each other out in trying to figure out what they was going to do later down the line of life, because they had no idea what they was going to do, or yet to so they thought all they was going to do was go to church and actually expand that church into another state, another city. And that's when she found out her love for music. Now, she started playing music at a very young age, around the year of 5 years old. And she was playing the piano. And her whole family was actually playing music. Her brothers was all playing in the church, playing the guitar, the bass, the drum, the trumpet, and the saxophone. And actually, it was one key element that started this whole thing, and that was the sacred steel. Now, the sacred steel is a very, very tradition thing in her family, and she would absolutely love that sacred steel. And her brother Glenn Lee was so good at it, and she was very well off learning how to be better at piano. And after that, she decided that piano was going to be her main focus. She loved that so much. She could play it so well. Well, she could do it with her eyes closed. I know, right? And it's true because I have seen it. So it's amazing what so much talent that her family and that she has throughout her entire life. And also through her childhood, she would always give back and always care for others. She had friends that would always be there for her, and all the stuff that they went through their entire life was based on that friendship back in their childhood days. And I want to go ahead and start with the out on stage. So her first job was at Winn-Dixie, and that's when she was 16 years old, and she was going to keep doing that job until she gathered enough money to be able to have some money for herself. And this is when she finished high school and was getting ready to go ahead and apply for college and get her degree. Now, she was very, very, very scared that she was not going to be able to do good at her job, and ended up quitting her job and ended up going to her college. And now she was able to experience that feeling of having money and having everything that she can have at the time. And after she finished high school, she had the drive. She had the drive to go ahead and go to college. And she started actually driving around the age of 17, 18. And that's when we get into the young adulthood stage. Now, she was in college. Now, like I said, she started at Miami-Dade, but did not finish. And after college, she started to have her first profession, which was administrative assistant. And she would be there for a good while. She would stay there, make sure everything is cold, make sure everything was secured, and make sure everything was safe. And she actually was going to be there for a good minute at the University of Miami, which we will get into later. But the next question and the next thing I had asked was, what was a time in her life that was extremely hard on her body? And she told me this, and she told me the story. And this was again in her young adulthood, and this is when she was having a kid. She already had a baby by the name of Earl Walker, and this happened in Georgia. When Robin was in Georgia, she was riding the I-20, which was a highway, and she got into a car accident, which was so bad on her body that she had head problems, and she was actually on top of her baby, which was very, very sad and very heartwarming. The baby was okay. The baby made it out safe, okay, but her head was very in pain. She had headaches, constant headaches, constant head problems, and she was able to walk. She was able to walk, which was very good, but her problems with her head was very hard. And that was the most difficult time on her body that she had tried to fix, and she had tried to fix while she was trying to go through her college and figure out what's going to be the next step for her marriage. And then I asked her, what was an event that changed you deeply on a personal level? Her first thoughts was when she had got the divorce the first time in her life, she changed. She didn't think this was going to happen. And she prayed to God that the true person would come to her. And she had realized that because she's a very religious person, and it taught her to really love somebody for them. And it really taught them to honor their kids and honor mother and father. It says in the Bible, as she quotes, "Honor thy father and thy mother, your days will live long upon the land." That's from her, and that also is in the Bible as well. She has yet to understand that why this divorce had actually happened, and she actually thanks God for allowing her to understand why has all of this happened and why is this important for her to learn. And that's when she saw herself change on a personal level. And I asked her, how have your roles changed over the span of your life? And she said when she became an auntie. When she became an auntie for the first time, at first, she didn't know how to be one because everybody else in the family had become an auntie already. As so as thoughts. And but she had the mindset to become the best auntie, and she did. And I actually want to thank her for being the best auntie she can, because without her, none of this would have happened. And she always wanted to be an auntie. And throughout their entire life in the community, she's always been an auntie to everybody in Miami, Florida. Mostly in Richmond Heights, because that was a community that they brought together in order to bring everybody in and make them feel loved. And then this is when she started to have an experience around the education system, around the gender, race, economic, physical changes, and discrimination changes as well. And she says she has not experienced any discrimination at all. And if it did, she has never played with this. She's never bothered it at all. She was never bothered by anything that has been going on with discrimination, race, any educational system, physical challenges. She's actually not been bothered by it. She ignores it. Always make sure that God is number one, and goes on throughout her day, which is actually so heartwarming and loving. And another question I asked her, Who are the closest to you in your life at this stage? And the stage we're going to be talking about is middle to late adulthood. Because her young adulthood, she has already succeeded. She's been at the University of Miami for 35 years. And we will get back to that, like I said, near the end. Her children, Earl, Nicole, and Jonathan Walker. Those have been the closest to her in her life. Now, her brothers and sisters obviously are closest, but her children are closest to her in her life. Because without them, she would not be able to function. She would not be able to think straight. She would not be able to move on in her life without her children. So, and I would ask another question. Which of the following people would you most likely identify with? And she says she would identify with 4 because there are 4 personality traits. There's mostly there's 6, but she picked the 4. So she's realistic, investigative, artistic, and enterprising. Realistic, she's a hands-on type of person. She loves to get her hand dirty. She likes to work. Investigative, she loves biology. She loves to investigate. She loves to learn about stuff. Artistic, she's very good at music, very good at it, very talented. And enterprising, she's also a businesswoman. She knows how to do business. She knows how to take care of business, knows how to handle business. And she actually was a piano artist for a good minute, but didn't want to actually pursue that. So she just played piano around the family in Miami. And I asked her, what are your introvert? Are you introverted or extroverted? And she says she's introverted. For herself, she likes to think for herself. She likes to have time for herself. She doesn't like to be out there. She doesn't want to be too much into the crowd. She wants to be home with herself, asking herself her questions, making sure she has time to do anything. She would actually want to plan something rather to be spontaneous. So she want to make sure everything is in plan so it doesn't go bad step by step, instead of just being spontaneous and just going with the flow, and actually making sure that she knows that what she wants to do is planned out and not just uncoordinated. Over the span of her life, she has noticed that there really isn't much change from a point of perspective through her life. She viewed things the same way as she did throughout her entire life. She's always kept the same way, if not more. Now it's not to say that she has not changed at all, because people do change, but her viewpoints are never going to change. Her viewpoints are never going to change. For example, she had told me that her viewpoints about God is never going to change. Her viewpoints about gender is never going to change. Her viewpoints about learning different aspects of people is never going to change. And that's what she has told me. And now I asked her, what are your main stresses in life? Because when you're in late adulthood, you start to become more stressed. You start to become more anxious. You can't really think so much because you're so stressed out. And she said, no stress. She said there is not a stress in a life that's the source of today. She always says she always thanks God for watching over her and her children, because she's a lot older in this stage, and her kids are in her 40s, late 30s, early mid 40s. So she actually has no stress at all and pertains to keep her stress home. If she does have stress, she always prays to God and always asks him, why can you come help me take this stress away? I know you can, Lord. She always makes sure she prays, because God always going to come around. She's told me every time in her words, God is always going to come around. He's always waiting. You just got to go to him. He's going to help you out. You have to go to him. And that's something you can take away from this video is God will be there for you. You just have to go to him and actually pertain his thoughts and listen to him what he has to says. I asked her, has your stress become greater, less, or just the same? Again, pertain to the same question. Her stress has been very calm and collected throughout the course of her life. Even when she was at adolescence, her stress was always calm. And even in young adulthood, when you're in your college and you're working and you're starting to get your first profession, you start stressing. She kept a calm, collected mind, and she was able to pertain that through the rest of her life and always make sure that she always has an open mindset about stress. And the strategies that she used is to pray to God. Ask him to take this all away and make sure that he hears you and not just you're just asking him to take this away. You're actually praying for him to help you take all your stress away. And this was a really good interview I had with her. Do you believe that we have some control over our destiny? And her viewpoint is that she believes we have control over our destiny because our destiny can come at us anytime. But if you want to have that destiny, you also have to get prepared to take that destiny. Destiny could come at you at any time. She says that you have to be prepared and you have to be able to accept that this is your destiny and you have to take it. You can't let destiny take you. You have to take your own destiny and prove it to everybody else that you can do what you want to do, especially in life. And now this is when we're gonna get into the late adulthood. I'm gonna say still middle adulthood, but transitioning into that late adulthood. She's noticed herself when she started aging around the age of 55. She noticed that she was walking slower, and this is when she also got diagnosed with spinal stenosis, which is basically her back is not very the best. She can't have her back up. Her back is really bending over. And she had to actually get a cane and actually use it to walk around when she turned 59 years old. And this is where we start transitioning. And I asked her, did you notice any memory problems or any problem solving? She said around the age, again, around 55, her memory started to change a little bit. And then her memory is still good. She still has good memory till this day. But it's not the same as it was 20 years ago. So, and her problem skills is still the same. She's still able to figure out problems, which is amazing and it's so amazing that around this age, the problem solving skill starts to get a little starts to wear out. She actually still pertains it and knows what to do with it. And I asked her another question. How has your faith affected the way you have coped with it throughout the entire life? Now, this is where we start to get into the late adulthood. Her faith has still been strong over the 65 years she has been on the earth. And in her words, she says, God has allowed me to accept a lot of faith in him, and I will always give him praise and thanks for the changes that has happened in my life. Because this is where you start to get to that age of you're not gonna so hard make it through the age of I'm gonna say 75. And her viewpoints on dying is she's ready. She's ready for that time to come because she maintains her spirit with the Lord and always thanks the Lord for allowing her to be on this earth for this long. She considers herself a woman of faith. She's a woman of faith. She's not all about, trying to express how she feels. Now, she will put it out there. She would let everybody know that she is a faith of God. She believes that faith is here, and she's not shy about it. Robin always makes sure to give God glory, no matter what, and always prays and cares about each and every single one that always thinks about God. What do you think you want to do at the end of your life? She says, I've already accomplished everything. She's just living life and living it to the fullest and is always thanking the Lord for always being here. What do you think, what things do you wish you would have done more during the previous years? Now, she wished in the young adulthood stage, she wished she could have pursued her degree in education slash teacher leadership, and she's got her master's in that in that at the University of Phoenix. She wished she could have pursued that a little bit more, because at the time her mother got very sick and her mother was in a nursing home, and Robin could not control that. She was not able to control the situation, and she did not have, after her mom passed away, she did not have the drive to go and be a principal. And what made her go back to school was the drive that she wanted to become a principal. But then when her mother got sick, she had lost it and couldn't control the situation that her mother was in, and lost the drive to be a principal. And what is the one thing you want to be remembered for? The one thing that she wants to be remembered for is love. She wants to be remembered for her caring. She wants to be remembered for her caring for others, even the ones that didn't care or loved her. She loved them back no matter what. And this is where we talk about faith and how you understand that faith in God is always going to be there. You just have to believe it. Also, her cooking and her baking of cookies, because she makes really good cookies, in my opinion. She makes very good peanut butter cookies. And I can say that throughout her entire life, she has always been there. She has always loved everybody, no matter what. And I want to thank her for allowing me to do this interview with her and allowing her to take the time out of her day to do this. Now she works for the University of Miami over 37 years, which is very huge. And now she works remotely from home, but she still goes to work at the University of Miami. And her quote that she will always say to everybody, always love your neighbor. And that is where we are going to end this video. I would like to thank everybody for watching this video. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. And I hope you guys learn all what you learned from Vernette Lee, because she is a very loving, heartwarming person, and she would love to meet each and one of you guys. And I would like to thank everybody that's watching this video for actually taking the time and listening to what I have to say. And I will get out of here. You guys have a great day. Have a great Christmas. Professor Control, I hope you enjoy this video and you stay safe, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.